Okay, so I haven't made a video in a while, and I wanted to make one on something that had been on my mind recently, which is rounding numbers. It's a problem that I see across the board with my GCSE maths and science students. And it's a problem because lots of questions in GCSE maths and science specifically ask you to round your answers, and lots of students either don't know how to do it or don't apply it when it's necessary to answer those questions. And even if the question is nothing to do with rounding, if the question tells you to round your answer, you can lose a mark for not rounding it correctly. So I thought it was worth making a video discussing that. And I'll present a method that I like to teach my students, which is hopefully helpful. So we're going to focus in this video on rounding decimals. So if we take, for example, I'm just checking my textbook here, the number 4.7625, and we want to round it to one decimal place. So when you're rounding, you want to figure out which column you're supposed to be rounding to. So if we're rounding to one decimal place, that means we're rounding to the first position after the decimal point, this column here. So I encourage my students to underline that column, especially when you're starting out, but I would do this all the time. And then the method for rounding is to check the column next to the one you're interested in. So we're going to use this digit next door to the right to decide whether we're going to round it up or keep it the same. And I'm sure you all know the rule. If the number is 0 to 4, you keep it the same. If it's 5 to 9, you round up. So in this case, 4.7625, 6 is between 5 and 9, so it's telling us to round up. So my 7 becomes an 8, and we've rounded it to one decimal place. I'll do an example with the same number, but this time rounding it to two decimal places. 4.7625 to two decimal places. So here, figure out what column we're interested in. Well, we're rounding it to two decimal places. That's the second digit after the decimal point. This is the column that we're going to be rounding. Look at the number next door. That's going to tell us whether we're going to round it up or keep it the same. The number is between 0 and 4, so that's telling us to keep it the same. So it becomes 4.76. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'll leave the maths there for now, and I can add to it later if anyone is interested. But I want to emphasize you have to apply this to almost every question. When you answer any question on a maths exam or a science exam, you must check if it's asking you to round it to a certain number of decimal places and apply this method. Don't think that because it's not a maths exam that you don't have to do this. You very much do. And like I said, I think the main problem is not that students don't know how to do it, but that they are not applying it when it's necessary. So essentially, check after every question whether you should have rounded your answer. You should get into that habit. Students often find rounding to significant figures more problematic than rounding to decimal places. So I'll probably make a follow-up video discussing how to round to significant figures.